Yeah, welcome to this session. Today, Lean Six Sigma. It's a massive topic. We have less than an hour to cover a topic where normally you would go through 4 weeks of solid training around Lean Six Sigma. So we can only touch on the very, very tip of the iceberg. So I'm going to focus on 3 of the kind of core principles of Lean Six Sigma. And it's 3 principles that often get forgotten or excluded from big projects, transformations, or consulting. And actually, they're the 3 most critical principles of anything, of a transformation, or Lean Six Sigma, whatever it is. So that's what I'm going to focus on. So I've been very selective in terms of what we're focusing on today from a Lean Six Sigma point of view. And somehow the transcript has started. So let me just stop the transcript. I don't think we need a transcript. There we go. Good. Got rid of that. So before we jump into the material then, let's jump into Klaxoon. Jamie, I don't know if you can jump on to Klaxoon or anything like that.
Yeah.
But let me put the link in the chat. There we go. It's the same Klaxoon as before, as always. So give it a go. See if you can join. I'll share as well my screen. So give me a shout. Let me know when you're in the Klaxoon. You might have that same problem that we tend to have with the nickname. You might have to change your nickname to join.
This time it didn't come out.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So same as usual setup. We'll ask a question in just a moment. So Lean Six Sigma is still today and by far the most complete transformation, operational improvement kind of toolkit or methodology. It's still by far the most complete way of transforming any business. And a lot of those, principles and tools have been copied over then into Agile as well. So you'll still see in Agile, many of the good tools that you would find in the Lean Six Sigma toolkit and methodology, like, a good old fishbone diagram, for example, that we've looked at in the past. So there's a good question that goes with Lean Six Sigma, and it is an important question to kind of understand and try and work out the answer to. If it is the best, most complete business transformation toolkit methodology to date in the human race, why doesn't everyone build it in to their business models? Why doesn't everybody use Lean Six Sigma? Because it is the best and most complete. So go for it. 2 quick minutes. Can see somebody's posting already. 2 quick minutes. Go and put a few post-it notes then on the Klaxoon. Then we'll go and have a look. Go for it. We'll just make it quick, couple of minutes, and then we'll have a quick discussion. Keep them coming. Couple more post-it notes on there. Thoughts? Why is it not built into every business? Give it another 30 seconds. Okay, another 10 seconds, maybe one more post-it note, something like that on there. Okay, let's take a look. Take a look. And I always ask this question at the beginning around Lean Six Sigma because the underlying kind of reasons why are exactly the same kind of issues, resistance, challenges you'll face in doing any project or any consulting. You know, you tend to have exactly the same challenges when it comes to finding good answers to this question. So it is a really useful thing to think about. So we've got not everybody knows about it. Management doesn't know about it or have the an understanding to implement it. Some people don't like change. Oh yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. People stuck in their ways, training costs, don't want to dedicate the time to it. Team is not big, and lack of structure within the company. Absolutely, I think the first reason is, oddly enough, in business, in our day jobs, people tend not to like change, which is a bit weird because in our personal lives, we tend to love change, the latest technology, the latest new fashion, the latest, a bigger house, a better car. We actually seek out change in our personal lives for the better. But in our day jobs, especially in big corporate goods, people really don't want to change. And there's many psychological reasons behind that. You know, people get certain jobs. It's about stability of income. It's about, ensuring they have a clear future and all of that kind of thing. So any change that impacts their job, people tend to resist. That's the starting point. So sure, people don't like change. Second big topic is around knowledge. Now, most executives, leaders at a certain level, if they've been through any kind of leadership program, will have come across Lean Six Sigma and Agile and have it explained to them. What that does, though, it's a bit back to the change point. They don't like to change. And the underlying psychology here is twofold. If you're an executive or a leader, you kind of have two goals. You have your business targets to meet, and the second most personal target is to build your empire, build your kingdom, build your platform, whatever that might be. You're trying to build a bigger career to secure a better income for yourself and your family or whatever situation you might be in. And that is in conflict with the whole purpose of Lean Six Sigma, because a lot of the lean is to reduce cost, make things more efficient, etc. And that goes completely in the opposite direction to building my empire. I don't want to reduce my costs if I'm an executive leader. I want to increase my costs and increase my budget. So the lean part of Six Sigma completely contradicts my own personal goal, my own personal ambition within my career. And that's one of the biggest reasons why Lean Six Sigma is not, built into the fabric of businesses, because executives don't want it. They'll say the right words. They'll always say the right words. Oh, we must be more efficient. Oh, we must be operationally excellent. But when it comes to it, it doesn't do their careers any favor if they implement it. Now, Six Sigma is a little bit more about defects, quality, voice of the customer. And, the Six Sigma has had certain success along the way, especially in GE 20 years ago, all of that good stuff. But these are the reasons why, Lean Six Sigma is not built in. And often, we'll start an initiative. That initiative may last 2, maximum 3 years kind of thing. It comes and it goes. Same with Agile, right? You know, Agile has certain principles in it, continuously reducing costs, you know, and Agile comes and goes within in companies as well. So understanding that also helps when you're doing certain consulting or certain projects, why you also get certain resistance, because anything that reduces a person's power base is naturally going to take resistance, especially at the executive level. Makes sense. Thoughts, reactions, some good points all down there.
I think the problem with change is that it requires effort, and people people tend to avoid to, you know, make efforts.
Absolutely. You have to change anything. And actually, many managers don't understand this. To change anything or to improve anything in business, it takes investment. You have to invest. You can't, you know, if you think about real products, physical products, think about programming and new IT products. You know, you can't create a new product without investing up front into it. And it's exactly the same with a program like Lean6 Sigma or Agile or any other kind of, you know, improvement. Absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And often people don't want to make that investment up front: time, effort, focus, money, budget, resource. Absolutely. Other thoughts? Sound
Can
about
give
right?
many. I've just learned about this whole thing, so taking notes.
New for you today. Well, welcome to Lean6 Sigma. Very good. Then let me present a few slides, and then we'll jump back into the Klaxoon. So keep the Klaxoon open, and I'll just present a few slides for you before we jump back into the Klaxoon. So let me give you, therefore, a bit more information around what Lean6 Sigma is, how it works a little bit, but then we'll focus on those 3 principles that I mentioned at the beginning. So 6 Sigma, hugely well proven methodology for focusing on defects, errors, service quality, voice of the customer, these kind of things. And the 6 Sigma comes from a statistical name, if you like, of looking at I don't know if you know the old bell curve of variation that you tend to get. And the 6 Sigma is 6 standard deviations along a variation spectrum, which, if you analyze it, then is kind of, it means if your quality is good within 6 Sigma, then you will be 99.9996 good quality, you know, with only then 0.0004% of defects. So it's kind of like 1 in a million defects. If you want to think about it a bit like that, it's really trying to reduce the defects and improve the quality so that you get very, very few defects. And that's the focus of the 6 Sigma bit. Lean, on the other side, is more focused about reducing non-value added activities in a value chain. All activities that go into delivering a product or a service. It's really trying to eliminate all the non-value added activities, the wasted time, the rework, the waiting time. Waiting time is usually a killer in the service industry. Give you an example of that. When I first started doing Lean6 Sigma in a big bank, we looked at their credit card application process. And when we really analyzed the whole process, it was taking between 4 to 6 weeks to send a new credit card to, you know, a customer, an applicant, right? 4 to 6 weeks to get a credit card. This was 16, 17 years ago. The working time to review, prepare, get the credit card made and posted was 3 hours. 3 hours to actually do the job, 6 weeks worth of waiting time within the internal process within the bank. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Of course, now you apply for a credit card and, you get the credit card within 2 or 3 days, right? But that was, 16, 17 years ago when we started doing this stuff in banks, right? So Lean can have a massive impact on business performance, especially from a customer's point of view. And the 6-Sigma bit can really eliminate very complicated defects, errors, issues within a process. Combine it together, super powerful for any business, any transformation. One of the key fundamentals, and we'll touch on this as one of the principles, is measuring stuff, right? You'll often hear when it comes to statistics, even in the news, they'll always talk about the average. On average, 9 out of 10 prefer this type of shampoo, right? On average. But is average the right measurement, right? Often, of course, it's not. You have to understand all measurements and understand the variation that you get in measurements. As the little diagram here shows, don't worry. On average, the rope is 1 centimeter thick. In places, could almost be nothing, can break very easily, right? So what we measure is a fundamental principle in Lean and 6-Sigma. And there's an underlying, very simple project structure to Lean 6-Sigma improvements. And it is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Sometimes you find different words, so some have engineer instead of improve. I actually implemented that one myself in one business. Sometimes you see measure and analyze combined. So sometimes you'll come across maybe different kind of project cycles, but this is the fundamental one. Define the project. Define the opportunity that you're going to work on. Measure it, really, statistically, measure it. Analyze it to get to the really proven root cause. Then improve it. And fundamentally, the end step, which is also one of the main steps that get forgotten in most projects, control the results at the end. When I started doing projects a long time ago now, I did lots and lots of projects, and I could not understand once I'd done the project that, 6 weeks later, 12 weeks later, that all of the improvements we made, the people then running that particular process or work had just gone right the way back to the way that they used to do it. After going through these great projects to make such great improvements, a couple of months later, we go, well, where are the benefits? And they've gone right back to the way that they used to do it. And that's because we never used to control the results after the projects. So define, measure, analyze, improve, control, commonly known as DMAIC. These are the project phases in a Lean 6-Sigma improvement project. Very simple, very basic, but actually really, really useful in that context. So I'm going to just quickly touch on a couple of those principles. So the first one is the project charter. So the define piece. I mean, this is super important when we start in any project as a consultant, or when we're contracting with a customer. It should be important when we start a project for programming, systems, developing a product. It's amazing how often I don't see a project charter or any kind of project definition document, whatever that might look like. But what's important here in the define stage is really identifying the opportunity. At the end of the day, what problem are we really trying to solve, or what opportunity are we trying to build on? And the other one is then, what's the business case? If we do this, if we make something better or we build something new, what's the business case behind it? see so many projects without a business case, and you think, well, why are you investing? Sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars, and I go, where's the business case? And they go, well, we don't really have a business case, which is amazing. But it's a basic principle that all projects consulting work should have, right? So two principles: what's the opportunity and what's the business case on that piece. Process maps, these kind of things all come with it. Measurement. I just want to touch on measurement. So we've actually touched on in our problem solving little session that we did a bit the qualitative aspect of trying to get to the root cause and then, you know, improving based on that. Things like the 5 whys that we use, fishbone diagram, fantastic. But this is a qualitative assessment, which is very valuable if you have an experienced team and you kind of understand, you know, where the problems might be, and it is effective to a certain level. Lean and Six Sigma, though, bring in very strongly then not just the qualitative identification of root causes, but the quantitative identification of root causes, really measuring it. And this is where it can have a significant impact and benefit in many, many projects. Sometimes just by measuring 1 or 2 things, you can, 1, significantly prove where the business case is and improve the business case. But 2, then you can prove almost mathematically what the root cause is and eliminate it. So the measurement piece, the physical measurement piece, is a core principle that is often missed in many projects. Many projects I see without any real true measurement for improving a service, changing an operating model, you know, even implementing new system products. You know, what's the measurement in terms of a number of products, number of customers, whatever it might be, So that's the second principle. The third principle then comes to control. So if you've identified the opportunity in the business case, if you've measured it physically and you know what benefits you can get out of it, then once you've made the improvements, and hopefully, I'll just pick on one, lead time for that credit card example. You know, if I've started with 4 to 6 weeks for delivering the credit card, I've made my improvements, and now I've got that down to 4 to 6 days, then wouldn't it be easy to carry on just measuring how long it's taking to deliver the credit cards, right? So that you can kind of control, you know, once you've made the improvement, 4 to 6 days, is that then over time, is it getting worse again? Is it going back towards, you know, 12 days or 14 days? Or over time, is it getting better? Is it now going from 4 to 6 days? Is it getting down to 3 days to 2 days? You know, measuring and controlling then the results of the projects. So those are the 3 principles I wanted just to, you know, try and focus on a little bit today, if that makes sense. Any questions? Any questions?
No.
There is, you know, literally hundreds of other tools, but those are the 3 I've kind of picked out for the pack. So let's jump into our clack soon again, and we're going to go back to our Chocolicious little simulation that we had. So from the little question that we've just gone through, go down, keep going down, keep going down, keep going down, keep going down, and you'll come back to our welcome to Chocolicious example. And I'm linking back to this because we've already done some work on this. You know, we've already looked at it from an agile perspective. You know, we thought about, you know, what are some of the improvements, what are some of the issues in this particular process, and we can kind of pick up where we left from on the Chocolicious game. Everybody there? Everybody see it?
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
So let me just do a quick reminder then. So the point of the simulation was to make a box of chocolates, right? 8 chocolates in each box. Decorate the chocolate box, deliver it to the customer. How complicated could it be, right? As we saw, it can be quite complicated. We already solved some of the big questions around this. So from a voice of a customer point of view, their requirements were clarified around they only want round chocolates. They prefer chocolates with yellow on, and the box must have at least some decoration on it. Doesn't have to be big, but some decoration. And the box must have 8 chocolates. So I'll give you some additional information now. Take it into a real business scenario. So 1 box of chocolates sells for 10 euros. The production cost for 8 chocolates is 1 euro. I've made it really simple, right? 8 chocolates cost you 1 euro to make 8 chocolates, right? The production cost for the box, 1 euro. You know, everything has to have a box. It's going to cost you 1 euro. The people costs. This is where it gets a bit more complicated. 1 euro per person per minute. So, you know, for every person you've got working in this example, selecting the chocolates, putting it in the tray, transferring it to the box, decorating the box, giving it to the customer, every person you've got working in there would cost you 1 euro per person per minute. And it was taking us about 4 minutes to generate a box of chocolates. And we had 4 people working on it. So if we think about the definition now, if we're going to define the opportunity, and if you go up and to the left a little bit, you'll see some boxes here. If we're going to define the opportunity or problem, what would you say is the opportunity statement and kind of the benefits around working on this, working on the Chocolicious factory? What would you say kind of like the problem statement is? What would you say the benefits are, potential benefits are?
Profiting off of making it.
Absolutely, profit versus cost, right? Absolutely. So how much roughly is it costing us if we've got 4 people for 4 minutes?
16.
Absolutely. So the people cost, resource, is costing us 16, right? Then you've got 1 for your chocolates, and then 1 for the box. And then we're selling at 10. We're making a loss of 8, right? Make sense?
Yep.
So there's your benefits straight away. And I know that kind of seems like a stupid example, but you'll be amazed how many products are sold at a loss in a company. Because often they're not making these calculations. They might make a calculation when they first design a product or build a product, right? And they've worked out the costs. But often, you know, a year or 2 years later, is the cost base still the same? Often it's changed, and often cost of producing something over time actually gets more, unless they're doing 6Sigma or Lean on a regular basis, right? Especially in finance, the number of banking products and funds and securities and all of these kind of stuff, or insurance, that's sold at a loss is often 80% of their book of business or more. I've seen it in a bank more than that. But because they make enough profit off the 20% of their book of business to kind of cover the loss, They come up with excuses. Oh, well, we do that business because then it gives us the good business. Crazy idea. So, yeah, what else? What would be our problem statement, benefits, anything else? What other problems did we discover when we were running the simulation?
Like maybe customer satisfaction?
Satisfaction, absolutely.
Customer preferences. Let's say also maybe competition. How do I say it?
Yeah, competition.
Yeah, competition.
Other problems we experienced when we were running the little game?
Team organization, communication.
Team org, communication. Yeah, good. Any others?
Workflow.
Very good. Workflow. Absolutely. Very good. So, I mean, that's some really good problem statement. You know, if we think about when we really ran it and coming to the cost of the resources, the workflow was very inefficient, you know, when we started it. And if you have that many resources working on that process, it was taking too long, getting stuck at certain places, you know, then it wasn't efficient. So what would be the goal then? We've got these bunch of problems that we've identified, and we've got a business case. Kind of, what would the goal be?
Sell as much as possible. Sell as much as possible.
Yeah.
Improve the quality, improve
the process, the optimize the work
production. Yeah, production, I guess.
Absolutely. And let's look at the three of those, because you picked the three perfect goals. Sell as much as possible. If we don't do anything with the current process, what's that going to do for us?
Oh, well, obviously
we're going to go bankrupt.
We go bankrupt, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It sounds stupid, but how often have I seen companies, and you've most probably got this experience, where they just go and tell the salespeople, sell more. And I've physically seen this happen in an asset management business where the sales people were targeted on selling what they call assets under management, which is kind of like, you know, if you think of it like a bond or a fund, how much of that you could sell. And the salespeople got a bonus based on how much they sold of assets under management, which 2 years later, they realized that the majority of the stuff that was being sold at a loss. But the sales guys were great because they were getting paid a fortune. I'm talking millions in terms of bonuses, not little bonuses like we get. Yeah. So because they were measured on assets under management, they weren't measured in terms of profitability. They were just told to sell more, which is exactly what they did. And then a couple of years later, they realized that everything had been sold at a loss. Crazy, but it happens. It really does happen. So yes, you have to be sometimes careful with sell as much as possible. First, you would want to improve the quality. Ching, good. And you can measure quality. Yeah. satisfaction, physical quality, how many defect chocolates you have out of the machine, right? So definitely improve quality, because defect chocolates also cost you money, right? And optimize, really importantly, optimize production. How much would we need to optimize the production by, just simply in cost terms?
We would need to cut it for at least by half.
Exactly. At least by 50%, right? At least. And then at least you're breaking even, right? So at least by 50%. So wonderfully, you already have a fantastic set of goals. So we need to optimize the production by 50%. Yes, we need to improve the quality. And then once we've done that, sell as much as possible.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, reactions to what we've just done. Do you see that, that process that we've just gone through? Have you seen that in the projects that you've come across? Have you not seen that? Feedback.
I'm starting a company tomorrow. I feel ready.
Right.
Yeah, Serbian chocolate. Serbian
I'm
chocolate.
in for that. Get some graphic design going, bit of the sales force, bit of research behind it.
Yeah, we have everything.
Absolutely. Right. But it does amaze me. You would imagine that all business starts with this kind of view of looking at the opportunity or the problem statement, or all projects start with this. But it's not the case. But just in 5 minutes, we've actually created an amazing kind of project definition, right? And we've defined what we're going to work on. And yes, then you could look at scope and the process and who needs to be involved in the team. But ultimately, once you've identified the problem or opportunity, you've identified what the business case and benefits could be, and you've really set the goal, the target to achieve. Also, from a communication point of view and getting people to buy in, that's already a massive step forward in any transformation. Make sense?
Yeah, I've been actually experiencing this. I've been involved with working with a cafe that hired me to do their branding. First thing they did is hired an architect to design the interior of the cafe. Then they hired me to come up with the branding based on the furniture, which doesn't make sense, and come up with the name afterwards. And then after all of that was done, they started thinking about what do they want to sell in there. Are they dealing like drinks, desserts? Is it a pastry shop? What is going to be? So it does actually happen. It's unbelievable, but I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's for a person that's opening a new cafe or a new restaurant. It's a huge personal investment. Often people will put all of their own savings into it. They'll mortgage their house for it. And often they don't even know what they're trying to deliver and what the benefits of that will be, or what even the goal of that is, right? It's surprising, but very simple. It only takes a few minutes, and it's a very simple structure to work through, as we've just seen. So let's have a quick look at our Chocolicious again. We don't really have time to really play with the simulation. Maybe towards the end of all of these little development sessions, we'll come back to this and we'll see if we can really do Chocolicious in a ridiculously short and profitable time. But you can remember we were putting, the chocolates in the little tray, 8 chocolates at a time. So we would throw the chocolates in there, select them from our chocolate machine. Oh, that one's disappeared. Defect. So it would take some effort and resource to fill up our tray. We would have some defects, like that one that didn't appear in our tray, for example. That's a defect. Then we would take that set of chocolates out of our tray once we've selected them, and then we'd transfer them to the box. Yeah, and then we'd try and decorate the box there. So I'd have to choose a bit of decoration. You know, put a bit of decoration on that. And then I'd have to do that again. I'd have to collect everything together with the decoration, and then I'd have to deliver that to the customer. So just to refresh it. So we did a bit the qualitative, what are the issues on that? We've identified a few of the problem statements. We're clearly not an efficient process. We've got one person, you know, selecting the chocolates. We've got one person putting them in the tray. We've got one person doing the box. We've got one person decorating. We've got one person delivering, that kind of thing. If we were to measure, though, now quantitatively, really measure that process, what are the things we would measure? What would we go ahead and measure for that process?
How long does it take to fill in the chocolates?
Yep. Good. What else would we measure?
How many people are doing it?
Good. How many? I'll put resources in this case. Yeah. How many resources? Absolutely. What else would we measure?
What are like the market trends? What is the price of cocoa? Like, let's say, you know, you have cocoa coming from different continents and, well, okay, Africa, but different countries. So taking into account like any changes, you know. Now I'm going a bit far away, but, you know, of course, geopolitical implications that affect also the price of cocoa. Yeah. Going back to my international relations studies.
Absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
Absolutely. And that affects the base costs of what you're making.
Yeah.
You know,
the raw materials, let's
absolutely.
say. Yeah.
And often, you know, you can save yourself a lot of money by focusing on the supply chain and getting benefits out of your supply chain. Absolutely. Especially when you're reliant on the quality from your supply chain. So if your supply chain is giving you chocolates, for example, and you're just packing them, then you're reliant on the supplier for the quality of your goods, like the quality of a chocolate, not just the price, right? So you need to make sure that the quality is good as well. Right? So yes, good. What else could you measure in this process that we've got?
How effective, or how do you say it? Like, do we always end up with the errors, like the error rates? Yeah.
Errors and quality. Absolutely. So, or, you know, number of defects. Like you saw in I didn't intend to do that, but you saw it in my like quick example. You know, I picked a chocolate, but it disappeared when I put it under the tray. So that would be a defect, right? So I've actually needed 8 chocolates, but I've used 9 chocolates. Right? Quality, defect, perfect. How might I measure it from the customer's perspective?
Accuracy, quality, time.
I got a few there. I heard time.
Quality as well.
Quality. Good.
Consistency.
And then, say again, I missed that one.
Consistency in production.
Very good. And there's a common one there, especially with customers, is Satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
Satisfaction level. Yeah. Which, you know, it's a bit more of a qualitative measure, but it can still be converted into a quantitative measure, right? You might have heard of Net Promoter Score, NPS, is often used in the service industry for measuring satisfaction, things like that. Good. So we've got some measurements. How long does stuff take? I'm going to split that into 2 measurements for you. And I split it on purpose because it's a really useful way to think about things. One is the lead time. The lead time from the customer's perspective is when the customer orders it to when it actually arrives in their hands, which is why shops will always be around, because I go into a shop, I pick the product up, and it's in my hand. The lead time in the shop is 0. Well, my wife's anything to go for, it's about 3 hours in every shop, but you know, the lead time is 0, right? But if you're internet shopping, the lead time could be 2 or 3 days, or in the case my recent experience is 12 weeks to get one thing. But anyway, lead time. The second way of measuring it is actually, I'll kind of use the simplified words, is working time. The actual time it takes to work on the activity. A little bit back to my credit card example, the lead time was 4 to 6 weeks, so what the customer perceives. The working time was 3 or 4 hours, the actual physical working time. And we could measure that exactly the same in our chocolate example. What's our working time then versus our lead time for the customer, right? Absolutely. Number of defects, absolutely. How many resources are working on it? Especially if you can combine the working time and the resources, put a big plus sign in there, you get something called capacity. And those 2 together are really super useful. You know, what's my available amount of resources, 8 hours a day per person, for example, versus the actual working time? And what's the difference? The difference is capacity. So you can see also in 5 minutes, you can actually work out physically how you want to measure your process. Could be lead time also in development. Lead time in graphic design is actually a really important one, especially versus working time, because there can be a lot of time just waiting in graphic design, for example, waiting for feedback, waiting for approval, waiting to clarify the requirements. Often can take a long time in that process.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. All makes sense?
Yeah.
Again, it's a simple thing, but this is where the Lean Six Sigma kind of approach is really powerful, because the approach with the define, measure, analyze, improve, control, it makes you go through a measure phase. And once you've measured that data, then it makes you analyze it. And that's why that kind of simple 5-step process is so powerful.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's funny, Mark. I just remembered at some point when I had a call with Tom, he asked me, "Oh, Maya, do you know what the Lean Six Sigma is?" And I had no idea, and I felt really like stupid for not knowing. Later on, I Googled it, but now I know. So thank you.
This is it, right? This is the part of it. And there are lots of different tools. You know, I haven't focused on the qualitative part because we've already used like a fishbone diagram or the 5 whys or solving problems. And we've already done a bit around, you know, how to come up with ideas and improvements. So I've not focused on that in here. But those are exactly the tools in the Lean Six Sigma toolkit as well. So I've just focused on a couple. Last question in the last few minutes then. So if we've done that, we've made our improvement, we've measured the lead time and the working time and the quality and consistency and satisfaction. Once we've done that, and now say that we're at least breaking even in our process. You know, maybe we're making $1 profit per per box of chocolate sold. What would we control then on an ongoing basis? Now we've made our improvement, we're making a bit of profit. What would we continue to measure to control our process and our product, so that, you know, over time we don't kind of start making a loss again, or even better, over time that we continue to make improvements and make even more profit? What would we measure to control our process after we've made our improvements?
Customer satisfaction.
Absolutely, satisfaction.
I would say maybe the production time of delivery, let's say, of each segment. Yeah.
Absolutely. Shows if we've got any issues coming up in the production, and the overall lead time. Yeah, absolutely. Any other key measures to control?
I would control the cost that we are selling it at.
Yeah.
Once you've got your cost of production under control, you know how much that is, and the quality is good, and you know the lead time for delivery is good, then you can actually go to the customer and say, hey, what? You know, you're getting a really good box of chocolates now, on time, in full, no errors. Put the price up. Then you're making even more profit because you've reduced your costs. Fantastic. Then you can actually charge more money. You make even more profit. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you've picked the 4 kind of key controls that I would have picked in that process as well. So first of all, you need to know if your customer's still happy or not. Always, right? You need to know how much it's taking to make the product, deliver it, how much is the lead time, and your cost and sales price. Fantastic. All fantastic work, and you've done the whole Lean Six Sigma in under an hour. Very simple things, so often missed in projects, consultancy, product development, but they're 3 super powerful, important steps actually in any project, whether you're doing Lean Six Sigma or not. If you just apply these 3 things, you get far, far better results. With that, last moment for questions, feedback, thoughts. I think we've lost Jamie. We've lost Jamie.
Yeah, he sent a message saying he had to drop off.
Yeah, last minute thoughts, feedback.
Well, I would go back to what Mina said, that, you know, people in an organization are really reluctant to accept changes because it requires effort. And I think just like in personal life, you know, when we do strive towards changes, but only when we know and we are sure that they will improve the quality of our life or something better, you know, and then it's probably, you know, psychology of people to go against changes because it's uncertain what these changes will bring. You know, it's easier just to go to through the secure, let's say, route. So, you know, it's a bit of it goes for economy, for politics, for governments also, not only for you know, in a company structure, in a business structure. So.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
my you know, conclusion.
And it's a very good conclusion as well.
Thank you.
So, like when major companies, maybe chocolate companies, increase their cost and lower their quality, and continue to make profit. Are they also following this? Are they following some other psychological marketing programs?
Could be.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of everything, definitely. You know, I think also these big multinational companies like Nestle and so on, and Coca-Cola, they rely a lot on psychological choices of people, you know, colors, emotional, let's say, messaging, you know, and branding and so on. So it all affects on the choices of people when they go into a store and choose one chocolate over another. And you know, not even that, but you have all of these people when they're like those brand, let's say the brand representatives, when they go to a supermarket, they actually choose where the chocolate is going to be sold, like, and they actually agree with the supermarket, like, and they I know that some brands even pay big money to have their let's say beverage or food presented in a better location than others. So it's all like a monopoly.
They also rely a lot on exploitation of people and resources. So
yeah, that's the first. Yeah, definitely. So yeah.
And that's a whole other training. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
on that
placement.
note, I'm going to the supermarket now.
Very good. And thank you very much for joining today's session. I really hope that you enjoyed it. With that, enjoy your supermarket experience and have the most fantastic weekend.
Thank you. You too, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
See
Bye,
you next
everyone.
week. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.